Hello and welcome. I am with the Central Wisconsin State Fair. My name is Cara McManus and I have two very special guests today. I have Maddie Hensel and Raina Simone. I want to make sure I say the name. Junior Fairest of the Fair, the actual Fairest of the Fair, and her attendant, correct?
Yes.
Junior Fairest attendant. Okay. So tell me about yourself. Where are you from?
I go to Pittsville High School. I'm 14 years old and a freshman. I'm very involved in 4-H, FFA, FCCLA, FBLA, Forensics, the Wood County, Wisconsin, and National Junior Holstein Association, and play soccer and run track and field.
So you're not busy?
Never.
No. So, okay. And how did you decide that you were going to do Fairest of the Fair? Like, what made you decide that this is what I want to do?
So our Fairest of the Fair, Jenna Snortheim, was the junior Fairest of the Fair a couple years ago, and Jenna's one of my best friends, and she encouraged me to apply for the position because she thought I would do a good job.
Great. Okay. And you, how did you make that decision?
Same way as Maddie. I've always looked to being Fairest of the Fair, and I heard that Junior Fairest of the Fair was a way to kind of learn the ropes before you take on that major position. So I decided to try this out, and I've been doing it the last 2 years.
Nice. Okay. And tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what things are you involved in?
I'm from Marshfield right here. I'm a junior at the Marshfield High School. My extracurriculars, I'm in gymnastics. I'm part of the high school gymnastics team. For organizations, I'm in FFA, Golden Glow 4-H, and then Wood County Junior Holsteins with Maddie, and can go around competing in all those.
Wow. So both of you are active in the fair. You participate in the Central Wisconsin State Fair. And what kinds of things do you bring to the fair? Do you exhibit? Not only do you do cattle, obviously, if you're both in dairy, but what else do you do?
Well, my family shows dairy cattle at the international level, and then we also exhibit chickens, rabbits, goats, sheep, basically everything, and then crafts as well.
Crafts, okay. Wow.
I'm not as involved with that as Maddie, but I take some crafts as well, and then just mainly my dairy cattle.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because obviously your reign is coming to an end soon,
Yeah.
right? And we're looking for new Fairest of the Fair
Right.
and Junior Fairest of the Fair. And why, if I came to you and said, okay, why should I do this? What would you say?
The experience. You just get to spend your summer you make friends with your fellow attendees, and then you spend your whole summer just running around having fun. And your goal is to promote the fair, but you can also have fun doing it. And I also got to meet a lot of new people by doing it, and just along with making friends as well.
As being junior Fairest of the Fair, you develop significant public speaking skills and leadership skills that will help you later in life as well.
Okay. And if I was going to get involved, or I know somebody, do they have to be in the dairy industry or the cattle industry or in 4-H? I mean, because you're talking about all of the things that you've been doing. Even though you do extracurricular activities, you also are very involved with animals.
Right. You don't have to be involved in any sort of organization like FFA or 4-H. It can be anyone in the community who's willing to. Actually, we ran up against a girl from Rapids who was interested in doing it. She had came to the fair and just saw us and wanted to be a part of it. She did not happen to get the position, but then she ran for her other, I think it was like Cranberry Blossom, and she ended up getting that too. So it's open to anybody in the community.
Okay, so you don't necessarily have to have entries into the fair and know a lot about the dairy industry or any kind of animals, really.
No.
But it helps.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So right now, we are currently accepting applications for the 2020 Fairest of the Fair and Junior Fairest of the Fair, and the fair royalty actually represents the fair, promotes Central Wisconsin State Fair during their year-long reign, which is what both of you talked about, not only through public appearances and attending the fair, but what other things did you do?
One of the things that our group this year as the 2019 Central Wisconsin State Fair royalty, we started going to library programs and getting involved with the youngest generation involved in the fair. We read a book and we did a small craft activity and went to some of the area libraries in the county.
Wow. And how did that go over? I'm sure the kids loved it.
Yeah, I believe we made it to Stratford, Pittsville, Arpin, and a couple other ones, and the kids had a lot of fun, and we had a lot of fun doing it as well.
I bet. Now, did all of you do that? Did you pick the book, or how do you do that?
She found the book online and then purchased it, and then once we were done, we gave the book to the library so that the kids could continue reading it. We just went kind of as a pair every now and then to different libraries, but yeah.
And so what other things? I know you talked a little bit about, I believe you said running around. So like, what does that look like? So did you do parades? Did you do festivals? I mean, there's a lot going on during the summer, obviously, in Wisconsin with the nice weather. So tell me a little bit about what you did, other than the library program.
We went to local parades. We went to the Dare Fest parade, the Cranberry Blossom Fest parade, and then we also did dairy breakfasts like the Marshfield FFA breakfast, the Pittsville FFA breakfast. And while we were there, we assisted with like cleaning up wherever we could, and we even like hung out with the children to make sure they were having fun too. And then we did some announcing here and there about the fair.
So announcing on the radio?
Radio, TV interview, in front of crowds, grandstand acts, anything we were announcing.
So was that scary for you, or did you, I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you like that?
Through being involved in so many organizations, public speaking is kind of like a second nature to Raina and I now, but we definitely furthered our skills speaking in front of 400 people in the grandstand compared to our 4-H clubs or our peers.
Okay, so, oh, go ahead.
Being my second year doing this position, I was really nervous going out my first year when I was going through the whole interviewing process and just going through that part. I was really nervous to just talk with like a stranger and carry out a conversation, and I'd say I'm much more comfortable with it now, and just I think that's a trait that I can carry on past Junior Fairest of the Fair. I can take that into my rest of my life.
Of course, of course. So, if somebody's interested, do you know the age groups for the Fairest of the Fair? It's
must be 18 years old as of January 1st this year
Okay.
to be Fairest of the Fair, and grades 7 to 12 can be Junior Fairest of the Fair.
okay. And do they do pretty much the same? Are you all grouped together?
Yes, for the interviews, we were all together. We had a group interview where there was all 4 of us, and, 5 candidates for our year. And then you have your personal interview, and there also is an essay in the application process.
Okay. And not only do you get this beautiful crown and sash, right? But you also get something else. What else do you get?
Scholarships.
A scholarship.
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about those.
For Fairest of the Fair, if you are crowned Fairest of the Fair, it is a $1,000 scholarship that you will receive once you're done with your reign. If you're attended, it's a $200 scholarship. For Junior Fairest of the Fair, it's a little different, whereas you receive money for your club. So if you're crowned Junior Fairest of the Fair, it's $100 for your club, and then if you're attendant, it's $50 for your club or organization.
Okay. Great. And then, not only do you have all of these events, but you also have a pretty special event coming up that is going to be held at the Legion,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, we have our Fairest of the Fair breakfast, which is one of our main fundraisers for the year that helps supply all of the things we need and for what we do. It's April 19th at the Legion Hall, like you mentioned, and the tickets are $8 and they can be purchased at the door.
Wonderful. And is there a younger price or a lower price for younger kids?
Yes. Ages 5 to 12 are $4, and then 4 and under is free. There will be baked goods there for anybody who wants those. And then you'll also see us running around along with the new candidates for the next year. They'll be being judged. They won't know who the judges are. The judges will just come in throughout the duration of the breakfast. So they'll be judging there.
Wow.
Being judged there.
So when you said baked goods, so somebody can not only get a breakfast, but then they can also buy cookies or
Yeah,
pie
so
or...
hopefully our local 4-H's and clubs are going to help us out with this, but they'll be donating different baked goods, and all the proceeds of that will then go to the fair as well.
Right. And you also have sponsors, so I want to make sure I recognize the sponsors. Not only did you have the sponsors for the Fairest of the Fair, which is Ben's Chiropractic, but then you also have sponsors for this breakfast.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Ben's Chiropractic is one of our main sponsors, and then the American Legion Hall also helps us.
So they've been very gracious to help with that
Yes.
also. Great. Okay, so tell me one thing that is your best memory of being Fairest of the Fair?
Oh, that's a tough question. There's just so many different memories. I have to say, at one point we were standing behind the grandstands getting ready to go up, and I was really tired because it's the end of the week of the fair, and I'm busy running around doing dairy stuff and then doing Fairest of the Fair. And I had just had a little tray of mouse ears full of sugar and a can of Mountain Dew, and I was very hyper, so I was just like bouncing around and dancing and just having a good time. I'd say that was my favorite part of this.
There are
Oh, good.
videos out there of me and Raina dancing behind the grandstand.
So, and do you find that people are drawn to you, they ask you questions, they think you're, I mean, really, you're an ambassador for the fair. So do you find that, like, when you're at the fair, people come up and say, well, you know, what about this, and where can I find this, and, you know, what do you guys think of this? Or, I mean, do you have a lot of that? And I would imagine kids also.
Definitely. This year, one of the things we actually added with our group of royalty is the Find a Princess. So we had our pictures taken and we put it on just a little postcard, and we had the kids come and find us, and if you got all 4 princesses' signatures, you got a piece of candy from the junior fair building. So that definitely helped the younger kids get involved with the princesses, and it kind of kept us on our toes too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they're always taking pictures. You just never
Yeah,
know.
even when I was sitting in the barn just taking care of my animals, Mom's like, you have to have your crown and sash on because kids are trying to find you, and if you don't have it, they won't be able to find you. And I'm like, Mom, I'm just trying to do cow stuff. I don't want to get dirty. And it was just kind of it was really fun. A lot of kids did come up to us. It was really cool.
Good. And this is truly something that will stay with you for the rest of your life. I
Oh,
mean,
yes.
you're always going to have memories of the fair. I know I participated in the fair and I loved it. And it's many years ago. But I still have such good memories. And I think that's a beautiful thing to give not only to you girls, but what you give someone else, too, coming to the fair. They're going to remember you. And that's a beautiful thing. So congratulations. Good
Thank
job.
you.
We also have another event coming up on March 19th, which is pretty special for the entire fair. It's not actually just sponsored for the Fairest of the Fair, but tell me a little bit about that.
We have the Central Wisconsin State Fair steak feed sponsored by Hewitt's Meat. Like you mentioned, it's on March 19th, and it includes a live basket auction and a 50-50 raffle. The tickets are $30 per person and must be purchased in advance. Tickets will not be sold at the door, and they're available for purchase at the fair office, Hewitt Meats, and Century 21 Gold Key Realty in Marshfield.
Wow, so they're pretty much spread out, which is a nice thing. And if they have questions, there's also the website that they can go to. It's just centralwisconsinstatefair.com, which is a nice place to find not only about the fair, what's coming up, our events, but also to find out more about being Fairest of the Fair and what that looks like.
Yes.
So I want to thank you girls for coming and hanging out with me, talking about the State Fair, Central Wisconsin State Fair. One last thing, is there any other, like one of the things that you guys talked about was that you did all of these things and you met other people from around the state, but where else would you have met them? Is there a competition for the Fairest of the Fair? Like what happens when someone becomes Fairest of the Fair in the Marshfield, the Central Wisconsin State Fair, then what do they do?
We're just the junior Fairest of the Fair, so we're the younger Fairest of the Fairs. So our Fairest of the Fair, Jenna Snortheim, she's at college right now and couldn't be here, but she went and competed in the Dells at the Wisconsin State Fairest of the Fair competition, and then they become our state representative, and then the every county that has a Fairest of the Fair program brings a candidate, and then they are then selected as the Wisconsin Fairest of the Fair.
And they travel to all of the fairs, correct? I mean,
Yes.
I know the last year at the convention they had her there showing her scrapbook, if you will, about each fair that she went to, pictures of her in every aspect of the fair, really, from judging to concerts to hanging out with the rides and all of that. So it's quite extensive.
Yeah, during our fair, we were able to hang out with Wisconsin Fairest of the Fair. We went on some rides, talked to a bunch of kids, ate some fair food, and had a lot of fun with her.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and spending some time with me and telling me a little bit more about this. I know that you guys are very good representatives of the Central Wisconsin State Fair, and we are very proud of you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And if you have any further questions, remember centralwisconsinstatefair.com, and you're welcome to call the fair office, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.